Mr. President, there are many paths to the United States Senate. It's fair to say that the path that brought our new colleague from Illinois to us was unique, and that's an understatement. Whatever complications surrounded his appointment, we made it clear from the beginning, both publicly and privately, that our concern was never with Mr. Burris. I didn't have the pleasure of meeting Mr. Burris until last week. I found now Senator Burris to be an engaging, gracious, and he was very firm in his commitment to become a good and effective United States Senator. Given the uncertainty around his appointment, all of his statements and actions, again both publicly and privately, reflected a strong character that will serve him well as he begins his service to the people of Illinois. I also say to my friend Dick Durbin, the senior senator from Illinois, how much I appreciate working with him on this and the other matters we have worked on over the years we've been in Washington together, going back a long time, Mr. President, 1982. The people of the state of Illinois have been so well served by so many different people, and I am confident that when the history books are written, even though Illinois has had some of the best, that my friend Dick Durbin will be right there with them. So to Senator Burris, on behalf of all senators, Democrats and Republicans, we welcome you as a colleague and as a friend.
Mr. President.
The senator from Illinois.
Mr. President, I first want to thank the Majority Leader for his kind statements. He is indeed more than just a colleague, he is a friend. 26 years we've worked on Capitol Hill together, and never more closely than the last 6 when I had the honor to serve as his assistant as the Democratic whip. He is truly a great public servant, not only for the state of Nevada, but for the entire nation. This was really a test for us, because we were all absolutely stricken by the news that the governor of the state of Illinois was being arrested, and under the circumstances which all America knows. The response by the Senate was to say to this governor, no Senate seat is ever for sale, and we are going to uphold the integrity of this institution, even though some may try to sully that integrity. Senator Reid is right. Throughout the stormy weeks that followed, I don't recall a single negative word spoken by anyone in the United States Senate or any of Roland Burris's former colleagues about him. You can search the record. Everything said about Roland Burris was positive. The circumstances that led to his appointment were the issue, the source of the controversy. The controversy came to an end on Monday. The Secretary of State, Jesse White, filed a new document after the Illinois Supreme Court ruled. The Secretary of the Senate ruled that this new document complied with the rules of the United States Senate, and Senator Burris had appeared in Springfield as we'd asked him to answer all questions about his appointment. So at that point, we were ready to move forward. And I can recall phone conversations with him over the weekend telling him that things were moving in the right direction, and to, if he could, be patient, because they were coming to a good end. The Secretary of the Senate's ruling could make all the difference. And so now we have this glorious day when so many of his friends from Illinois were here to witness his being sworn in by Vice President Cheney, and now he's left the floor for a few moments for the ceremonial oath that's going to be given in the old Senate chamber. While he's gone, I want to say a few words about my friend Roland Burris, and he has literally been my friend for over 30 years. In 1978, when we were both brand new to this business, I ran for lieutenant governor in Illinois, and he ran for comptroller. Nobody had ever heard of either one of us or the offices we were running for. We were as obscure as possible. So we found kinship standing in the back of parade routes as the bigwigs in the front line went marching on. But we struck up a friendship that has extended over 3 decades. And it's a friendship that's based more on just that happenstance of running in the same year. You see, Roland and I are from the same part of Illinois. Roland Burris was born in Centralia, Illinois, just a few miles away from my hometown of East St. Louis, Illinois, but there's more to the story. That is one of the central parts of our nation when it comes to railroads. I come from a railroad family. My mother, my father, my 2 brothers, and I all worked for the New York Central Railroad. Roland Burris's family, they were railroad workers as well. His father, Earl, ran a small grocery store to supplement his income as a laborer for the Illinois Central Gulf Railroad. Earl Burris, Roland's father, had a strong sense of community and a low tolerance for injustice. On Memorial Day 1953, Earl Burris decided to take a stand against injustice by defying Centralia's unofficial, quote, whites only, close quote, policy for the city's public swimming pool. So he hired a lawyer and arranged for that lawyer to meet him and young Roland, then 16. They were all going to go to the swimming pool. Well, guess what? The lawyer didn't show up. Roland Burris later said he remembered his father all summer long, saying that if segregation and injustice were ever going to end, people needed to show up and be accountable. By the end of the summer, 16-year-old Roland Burris had made up his mind that he would show up. He would pursue a career in politics and law. Off he went to Southern Illinois University in Carbondale, which incidentally has a record of being one of the most productive colleges in America for the graduates of African Americans. Roland Burris was one of those. He studied political science, distinguished himself as a leader on campus, headed a group that exposed discriminatory practices among Carbondale merchants toward African American students. 1963, a law degree from Howard University. That same year, he became a federal bank examiner in the U.S. Treasury Department, the first African American ever to hold such a position. In 1964, he was hired by Continental Illinois National Bank, where he rose to the post of vice president in less than a decade. He is a past national executive director of Operation Push. In Illinois, the land of Lincoln, we've elected more African Americans statewide than any state in our union, and we're proud of it. But it's Roland Burris that led the way. In 1978, as our first African American state comptroller, and later as the first African American attorney general in that land of Lincoln, state of Illinois. Roland Burris paved the way for so many to follow, including the man who will be sworn in as president next Tuesday, Barack Obama. He's held two of our state's highest elected offices. He was Illinois' first African American comptroller, as well as our first African American attorney general. Roland Burris is a good man and a dedicated public servant, and that's why he has returned to public life. Now, he's the 48th United States Senator from the great state of Illinois, and the 1,907th person to ever be sworn into this distinguished body. Here's an interesting fact as well. Roland and his wife, Berlene, live on the south side of Chicago in a home once owned by the great, the immortal Mahalia Jackson, the original queen of gospel music. In 1948, Mahalia Jackson recorded a song that was so popular, music stores couldn't keep it in stock. It sold 8 million copies. The title of that song was Move On Up a Little Higher. For more than 50 years, Roland Burris has sought to move on up a little higher, not for his sake alone, but for the chance to help others, including our great state of Illinois. I congratulate him. I know this was a rocky road to this great day in his life, but it was a road well-traveled and one that I'm sure will lead him to appreciate how important this institution is, not just as a part of our government, but as a part of our future. He's going to have a chance to not only serve as my colleague, but the colleagues of 99 other senators who are going to be able to work with him and learn the values and talents that he brings to the job. I am honored today by his swearing in office to no longer be both the senior and junior senator from Illinois. We have a junior senator. His name's Roland Burris, and I look forward to serving with him. Mr. President, I yield the floor.